Hello, this is Dan Ferrisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald, here once again at the HDBaseT Alliance booth at InfoComm 2026, working in partnership for thought leader interviews, roundtable discussions, talking about the most topical topics in the industry today with industry leaders like Tim Riek from AVI-SPL and Perry Freifeld from Diversified. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me for this State of the Industry Roundtable.
Thanks for having us, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Thank you. So let's get right into it. What technologies are ProAV solution providers like you deploying much more frequently these days? And what does that pattern of frequency of deployment tell us about where real customer investment is happening right now?
So I think we're seeing a trend that's been growing for the last 5 or 10 years really accelerate now, which is that there's this convergence of broadcast and AV technology. It's becoming really prevalent, especially in the corporate space. And so, there's some great AVI-SPL data around this, right? The AV industry in general is growing kind of single-digit margins right now, but that space in particular, as well as the experiential space, is growing 10+% year over year. And we're absolutely seeing that in what clients are looking for.
It's not just broadcast, but it's also all of the digital workplace technologies that had previously operated in a silos based consideration. It's now converging and really challenging us to be more thoughtful about the comprehensive solution being deployed throughout the workplace as opposed to our own kind of respective segments. So we're being pushed into solutions like voice, contact center, you talked about enterprise broadcast, experiential technologies, space management solutions, all those different applications we're seeing more frequently than we have previously.
We're definitely seeing kind of this push to the top and bottom in terms of complexity and scale. So clients who used to do a lot of kind of mid-sized conference rooms that had maybe custom control interfaces and things like that, we're seeing less of that. We're seeing more larger, highly complex spaces that need a lot of integration and a lot of smaller, kind of high volume spaces that have just a really great user experience and are very easy to deploy.
So one quick follow-up. When I was speaking to Sean Wargo yesterday from Apogee Insight, formerly of AVI-SPL, he was saying that he sees the experience economy being a real engine of growth for our industry. Whether it's hospitality, whether it's things like the Sphere, whether it's COSM, mixed reality, shared reality, theme parks, entertainment. Are you seeing that likewise in your space as real engines of growth? Like, give me an immersive experience, something I will want to tell my kids about, tell my neighbor about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are seeing, the museum space grow and do some really interesting things with just projection mapping and completely immersive experiences. We're seeing a lot of retail environments kind of grow in terms of the digital footprint that they have and the different types of content, interactive capabilities that those spaces have. So that is absolutely a driver for us.
Yeah, and it's a trend that we've observed over the course of the past several years.
Yeah.
We've launched a group called Experience Technologies Group that's specifically focused on delivering those experiences for our customers, whether it be experience briefing centers or simulation environments or enterprise broadcasts like Perry was alluding to earlier. Certainly a desire to elevate the experiences that we're bringing to our customers.
Yeah, and similar to AVI-SPL, so we recently launched the Diversified digital brand, which is really focused kind of around a lot of those same types of spaces where content is the most important element of thinking about how you're designing a space and how you're designing the experience that your users are going to see, right?
So you mentioned retail a few moments ago. Let's talk about vertical markets a little bit in the context, not just of what might be growing or what might be most opportune, but also those that may not be doing quite as well right now. So economically, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of stuff in the air. Some may be investing more. Some may be investing less. What's gaining momentum? What's pulling back on the vertical market side?
Yeah, so like AVI-SPL's built with a kind of theme of resilience in mind, right? From the geographies we operate across to the vertical markets that we operate across, to our full life cycle approach to delivering solutions for our customers. So we talk a lot about like this bobbing ocean concept, where when some opportunities are on the crest, others are on the trough. And so we really look to accelerate our investments on the crest, obviously, with respect to kind of the different aspects of our business. So, we're very fortunate at this time to say that like we haven't seen a lot of impact from the different kind of macro conditions that are out there today. We continue to monitor our leading indicators very closely, and we see great pipeline growth and robustness. We see like increasing deal size. and really a movement, like recognition from enterprises that they need global solutions providers to deliver their solutions for them consistently with scale, with speed, across markets. And we've been, very fortunate to take advantage of it. From a vertical market perspective specifically, we work across, quite a few verticals. And I wouldn't say there's one that I would call out that is suffering specifically, but certainly, verticals such as financial verticals, pharma verticals, life sciences verticals, those tend to be really healthy for us right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely echo what Tim is saying. For the most part, pretty much every vertical seems like they're growing in terms of the technology that they're looking to deploy. The one space I would say is changing is the legacy broadcast industry, right? As the way we create, distribute, and consume content is changing with, smartphones and platforms like TikTok, right? It's really kind of changed the game in terms of who can create content and how they can distribute it. So I think the legacy broadcast industry has been kind of challenged with figuring out how they're going to respond to that shift in the media environment. Now, that being said, there's still a huge demand for that specific kind of solution set that Diversified's always been really strong in broadcast systems, right? I alluded to it before, but the corporate and the education verticals in general have really accelerated their investment into those types of systems because of that kind of overall need for the ability to create and distribute content within an organization or externally.
We've had to get a lot more intentional with how we manage all those different price increases and changes with our customers in a proactive way, so that we can ensure we're delivering the right solutions at the right prices in ways that don't erode our margins.
Thinking about price increases and just the business aspect of technology, a lot of integrators I know are rethinking their own business models,
Sure.
moving beyond project delivery into recurring revenue, managed services, outcome-based selling. The idea that I'm your strategic consultative advisor. I'm not simply a purveyor of products for you. Looking at your own organization, looking at the broader landscape, how salient is this? How much are you leaning into it?
Yeah, it still amazes me, candidly, that folks haven't jumped all on board with this concept of recurring services. It's something that AVI-SPL has been working on scaling and globalizing for the past 15 years, ensuring we have a global tool set, ensuring we have a global organization that's purpose-built for these types of programs. So we've been really thrilled with the growth of our recurring services platform, but also when you think about the traditional systems integration side of our business, we've really started to label it more as maybe not recurring, because it's not contractually recurring, but reoccurring, because there's this perpetual refresh that's happening within our environments. And the analogy we like to give there is it's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge, right? By the time they're done with the refresh, it's time to start over again. So, both aspects of the business are really happening in a recurring or reoccurring nature, and it's something that we have to embrace as service providers to be successful, because it's expensive to win new customers.
Yeah.
100%. Perry?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen a great growth in demand for our managed services offerings, like a lot of companies have. And Diversified has a really robust portfolio, from kind of traditional break fix to full-time on-site dedicated resources. And that one in particular has been a really popular program for us. And it's not just kind of what you would think of as a traditional AV tech, right? Sure, there's a break fix aspect, there's a white glove, meeting management aspect of it. But also we've seen a huge demand in the offering to help create content, help operate studio environments, help operate multi-purpose spaces. So it's really a wide spectrum of needs that clients have, where there's an opportunity for integrators to provide that managed service, right? And then of course, a demand, I think, overall in the industry around proactive remote monitoring and management platforms, right? And there's a lot of great solutions out there that some integrators kind of will white label, or some integrators will develop in-house. And that's really where there's an opportunity for, buzzword AI everyone's talking about, really to come in and help kind of accelerate the capabilities of an offering like that, right? I think the other one that we're going to see a lot of demand for coming up over the next kind of 5 years is going to be managed services around kind of virtualizing production. So a shift from kind of the requirement to put infrastructure into a facility to be able to do a fully produced kind of event and create content and distribute content, but virtualizing a lot of that hardware and infrastructure to be able to do it in the cloud or wherever that environment lives, right? So we're already seeing some really cool solutions come out to market like that, and I think that you're going to see a big shift in kind of how end users are looking to be able to consume those services.
Yeah, I think like just to build on that, like we've got AVI-SPL has over 1,000 people on site now deployed across 20 countries. And to your point specifically, it's not just the traditional technicians. Now we're seeing an increase in drive towards event production as corporations try to improve and kind of lift up that experience. Talking about like different software solutions and concepts. AVI-SPL Symphony was recognized both at ISE and here at InfoComm for Best of Show Award. So really excited about that platform and the capabilities it enables for us. And to the point of virtualizing, production aspects, AVI-SPL Symphony has a component called VL Gateway that is specifically there to virtualize production aspects. So all that in short, without trying to sound like a commercial, there's a ton of opportunity for service providers to continue to focus on recurring services. And again, if you're not doing it today, really have to like jump into it with both feet because there's a real need to like even out the business with that.
One other element that I do want to touch on is like a lot of us are out there hearing about AV as a service. That's an offering that's been kind of a little bit of a buzzword over the last 5-10 years, right? And I think a lot of integrators out there have been providing kind of operationalized costs for AV projects in service delivery, but you will start to also see demand for true as a service in AV integration, which is clients are buying outcomes and features and functionalities and not necessarily a specific list of equipment and services, right?
Yeah.
I think it's 100% right. And I think I've shared this in another panel, but I was at a B2B marketing conference and they said, Delta doing amazingly well. They don't sell their Airbus Neo 321. What they sell is you're going to be in Jamaica. You're going to be on the beach with a Mai Tai. They sell the destination, the technology, the solution. It's a means to the destination. It's marketing the destination, marketing the outcome, marketing the happiness. And that's kind of what AV as a service is about, right? We're giving you the outcome. How we get there is almost incidental.
Right, exactly.
So the last question, what is the one thing you'd advise your fellow solution providers to focus on over the next 12 months if they want to stay competitive, if they want to keep their business on solid ground? Obviously, AVI-SPL, Diversified, both industry leaders. I'm not asking for your secret sauce, but if you could give one pearl of wisdom to the others out there, how can they solidify their positioning?
Yeah, so we are in a people business here in the AV systems integration industry, right? Our talent, our people are really at the end of the day what clients are buying, right? And so I think our industry does not do a great job of building a pipeline of talent to come into the industry from schools and education environments. I would implore anybody in this industry to really make sure that they have a robust strategy around bringing in the next generation of talent to backfill the people who have been doing this for a long time and have that experience and institutional knowledge, right? So, I mean, we're looking to do that through internship programs and just other opportunities to be bringing in kind of fresh thought leaders, fresh people in and backfill as people kind of move on and get to the end of their careers, right? I think that's kind of one of the biggest challenges that this industry is facing overall right now.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it's for those of us who have been in the industry for a long time, we recognize that systems integration business has traditionally been start with a blank sheet of paper. It's custom, long lead time, complex, difficult to use. So if you haven't already, you have to make the pivot from complex to simple, scalable, standardized, that can be delivered consistently, because that's increasingly what customers want from service providers like us. So continuing to do that, continuing to be thoughtful about putting solutions on the network so that they can not only be deployed at scale, but they can also be managed at scale, because at the pace our customers are deploying today, it's no longer feasible for them to scale people to manage the technology. They have to use technology to manage the technology. So those would be the points I'd leave behind.
Simple, scalable, standardized, those are about as three powerful S's as we can have in the industry. That is what the voice of the customer, at least from what I hear, is telling us they want. So, well said. Thank you so much once again, Tim, Perry, for joining me today, giving us a sense of where things stand right now in the integration community, the solution provider community. I really appreciate all of your insights.
Thanks so much, Dan.
My name is Dan Ferrisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald, working once again in close partnership with our friends at the HDBaseT Alliance to capture thought leadership content all throughout InfoComm 2026.